meet you. I really wanted to, have you come on the show and tell you story and stuff like that.
Hey, it's nice to be here, man. I thank you for like reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, so what made you become a martial artist? Like what was the influence behind that?
My dad. My dad is the founder and creator of our style, Red Dragon Karate. My dad was my hero, and I wanted to be around him, so I went to the studio and started learning martial arts.
That and I hate that you guys get excluded out of everything because y'all pretty much as important as the Shakur side of the family as well. I just hate that they don't put y'all like in the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just glad people, like it and I enjoy the history and
Yo, yo.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Man, nothing, man. Just chilling, bro.
Okay, okay. Hold
How
on, let
you?
me I'm good, I'm good. Let me hit this share video real quick to get it out there to the people real quick.
Yeah, do your thing, do your thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, just a couple people, but yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you for having me on the show. I definitely before we get started, I want to give you your flowers, man, for running this show. You've been very consistent with it. And having guests on there. You've been doing your thing, whether it's, celebrities, athletes, local people. You've covered different topics. So you've been doing, an excellent job. And it's an honor for me to be on this show. And I'm glad that you were able to ask me to be on here. So I definitely appreciate you.
Man, thank you, man. And it's just one of those things that like I can't explain, man. It's just like the journey, bro. The journey has just been everlasting. And I just tell everyone because not everybody is used to just being in the spotlight or being that person that's considered great. But I'm
Hmm.
just still learning, the current and everything. But I just do my best not to just lose the objective of why I started, because a lot of times we do lose ourselves to why we began the mission in the first place. So I just always want to make sure that I just keep the mission alive, and that just being um, the spokesperson for just young black men like ourselves to just spread about mental illness and depression and how things can, feel like our backs against the wall and stuff like that. And just the importance of just having healing circles and just being supportive amongst ourselves, man. Because it just, I would say, it's just in our community, it's just the superficial things. It's what
Hmm.
put us like on the catalyst. But to me, it's all about character.
Right.
Yeah. And since you always had great character, man, that's why I always wanted you to come on the show. This was a long time coming.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. And I just wanted to just, have you be the first person to really, begin this segment that I wanted to talk about just with Black fathers and just how important having a father in the household, because yeah, like we don't play those type of significant part in
Right,
our child development, and I just hate that. I just really don't knock anybody that's doing it alone, but
right.
it's a lot of single fathers out here.
Yep, yep, yep.
So I just want to just be able to, make sure, you as a father, man, just wanted to just discuss your role and how your journey was, because I'm just really curious. And just when you first found out, just what was going through your mind and how you was able to overcome any type of doubts or whatever.
Got you. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but like you said, piggybacking on what you said, there's a lot of fathers out here that are present and are doing what they need to do for their kids, whether it's being a single dad, whether they're co-parenting with the mom, whether they're their husband or their boyfriend, they're living inside the home, whatever case may be. Especially with black fathers, our numbers have risen despite what society and the media may paint. I see a lot of black fathers that are present in their kids' lives, and that's huge. I would say way more than when we were coming up as kids. Our it's almost like that ripple effect. Our generation didn't have those parents, so us as men, we decided no matter what, we was gonna be in our kids' lives, and we were gonna do what was necessary to make that imprint on their lives. So um, that's kind of where we at current state. Uh, so for me, I didn't have my father growing up in my life.
Hmm.
We were kind of touch and go, but he wasn't necessarily an impact in my life. So he was kind of more of a reverse where I kind of seen what he didn't do, and that was kind of fuel for me to be like, okay, if I ever have kids, or whenever I have kids when I get older, I'm not gonna do this, or I'm not gonna be this person. I'm not gonna not talk to my kid for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 years, 4, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna make sure that I'm present. So that's kind of what fueled me to want to be a dad. I always knew I wanted to be a dad. Like how people growing up, they say I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or they want to be a teacher. It was like for me, it wasn't even that. It was just like I knew I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a dad. I want to have kids. I wanted to have an impact on kids of my own, just because I missed that impact myself. Um, I had father figures around. Like I had my grandfather, but he was older, and it was like me seeing him. I wasn't seeing him in a father mode, if that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
all his kids was grown, so it was like I didn't see him actually being a father, or actually doing the things necessary. It was kind of like he was just around. No, definitely don't knock that, because he instilled a lot of things in me, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's just a little bit different when it's your own dad. You know what I mean? Granddads are cool, uncles are cool. You can pull as a kid, you can pull stuff from those guys, but it's always that at least for me, I say it's always that little piece of you, like you want your dad. You know what I mean? To
Hmm.
kind of be impact, or do a little bit more. So when I was little, I used to see stuff at school. I would see like one of my friends, his dad, he would always pick his kids up from school. So I'm like, okay, I want to be that dad. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
when I get kids, I want to be able to pick my kids up from school. Or, dads dropping them off, taking them, coming to the football practices. So it's like, okay, I want to be that. So it's like I had to pull from different quote unquote good dads that I knew to kind of create what type of dad I wanted to be, if that makes sense. And
Oh, no doubt.
so when I first found out I was gonna be a dad, would have been back when my daughter. My daughter's 10 now.
Hmm.
She was when I found out her mom was pregnant with her. It was a little different, because it was like, oh, this is real now. Like, like I always said I want to be a dad, but now it's like, oh yeah, it's real now. So it's like, okay. And the funny thing about it is you can never prepare yourself to be for a child, no matter if it's 1, 2, 3, whatever. You can have all the money in the world, you still can't prepare yourself for a child, because you just don't know what it's going to be like, especially if you've never had a child. So for me, I was kind of in the loop of like, okay, I gotta have all the money in the world. I gotta have, everything set in place. We can't have no jobs. So I was kind of more of like headstrong of, okay, I need to set everything in place. Which, I mean, it probably was a negative on the end, because I probably didn't like soak in the actual moment at the time of the pregnancy.
Hmm.
Which I had my own. I fought myself for that. But I was young, and as you get older, you learn. You learn from your own mistakes, and So when she was actually born, it was just kind of like, yeah, this is real, you know. She here. She was born early, so that was a situation in itself. You know, so you have to make sure all the measures in place, make sure that she's healthy. You know, with being a premature child. And but from day one, you know, I was there. I mean, from I would say I kind of superseded my dad from day one, from the simple fact, you know, I was in the hospital when my daughter was born. You know, no, he wasn't when I was there. So it was like, okay, I got one up on you, you know, and you know, so I like that. And so, like I said, this kind of all ties together. So we had a rocky relationship, you know, up from like the time I was a kid up until I was like, you know, 24, 25. And so my daughter was born. And so I told myself, I'm like, okay, I'll give him an opportunity to be in her life. You know, like I'm like, even though I got all this anger and all this frustration and still got all this fight from him not being in my life and the kid, I'm not going to um shortcut my daughter of having a grandfather, you
Right.
know. So I extended the olive branch and basically said, you know, hey, you know, I got to, you know, if you want to be in her life, you could do that. And from day one, he did. You know, like he jumped in and he been a great grandfather. So it was just like, okay, and that kind of in that role, that kind of like started to create that relationship between us. You know, so we started kind of we had no choice but to talk, you know, because, you know, if you want to see, you know, you want to talk to my daughter, you want to see her, you know, we got to talk, you know. So we started having conversations about, you know, why he wasn't around, and, you know, and some things that I've missed out on, and, just basically kept it simple, you know. It's like, you know, he, at the time, he was in love with the streets, you know, and it was just simple as that, you know, like he was in love with the streets, you know. He knew I had a good mom. He knew, you know, she was going to take care of me and all that, but, you know, he was, in a sense, strong headed, you know, had a love for the streets, and, you know, just was, you know, out here hustling. And so we talked about it, you know. I, you know, kind of talked about, you know, some of the things that I missed out on, but as I looked at it, it was like it probably was stuff that he probably couldn't give to me anyway, you know, because of where he was at mentally himself, you know. And
Yeah.
and so that kind of played a good part. And just me with my daughter, just showing her love, you know, from the jump, you know, being that, she being a daddy's girl, making sure that I'm soft with her, but at the same time I'm teaching her life lessons. You know, I'm not. I'm teaching her a little bit about the world. You know, not sugarcoating anything, just because this world is tough, especially with our black females. You know, it's getting different. It's getting a little bit more reckless. You
Yeah.
know,
You ain't
it,
lying.
it's getting a little bit more reckless. You know, so it's like you really gotta prepare her, or me. I'm preparing her for that one day where, okay, I used to drop her off at kindergarten. Okay, now it's gonna be one day where I might have to drop her off at college, and now she's out of my control. You know, it may be in Michigan, it may be across the state. You never know; she may go across the country.
Hmm.
But I still have to, throughout these years of her being young, I try to teach her things that I know is going to be valuable for her in her life. You know, education is great. Education is cool, and we all want our kids to be great with education. But we also have to, teach them, street smarts, and teach them, the ways of the world. Because, as you know, once we jump in this world, the world don't care about what you know. It is how you gonna navigate through it. You know, how you
Yeah.
gonna navigate. And so yeah, that's my funny thing is I never wanted a boy. I never wanted a boy. Like I was really happy with having my daughter. Like and the reason why I never wanted a boy is because I was scared. I didn't know how to teach. I wouldn't know how to teach a boy how to be a man.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that I didn't have that. So it was like pretty much everything I was learning on the fly. I was learning, first go around. I didn't have that director to say, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. or hey, this is probably the better decision, or how to handle emotions, and just trying to do that. So I always was scared to have a boy, and then 7 years after my daughter was born, found out I was having twin boys. so not only so not only did I was scared to have one boy. God blessed me with two boys at one time.
Right.
And so now it was different. It was real different. And that changed everything, because it's like, okay, now I got two little men to raise in this world. You know.
Yeah. And you're doing such a phenomenal job. And I just wish that like a lot of times that society just give us grace as well, because we
Mhm.
all ain't perfect. We all don't have it together and stuff like that. And a lot of the times we are haunted by the things that plagued our past, and we doing our best not to relapse or not
Right.
to just make any bad choices. Because I'm gonna just share something like sacred that I kept. I really never really displayed it on the show before, but I just feel like it's needed during this particular episode. But I have finally made peace with my dad this year,
Oh,
and yeah, because it's a lot that I experienced, and just being fatherless myself for 25 years and stuff like that. Because I didn't meet him until I was 7,
okay.
but my stepfather raised me, and it was crazy because how my mom arrangement, the way that she pretty much had our household, I thought it was pretty normal for
Hmm.
everybody to just have a stepfather that didn't live with them and stuff like that. But he would come over after I got off the school bus. He would stare. He would eat dinner with us, and then he would go home. So it just went like that periodically for years. And I met my dad. It was just kind of like he didn't really knew how to acknowledge me
Hmm.
and stuff. So it was just always, I felt, talking to a brick wall whenever I try to like share something that was important to me, or just my feelings, and I was becoming a teenager, or just, things that, we go through as adolescents and teens and stuff like that. I need a man opinion about this because, I got women at home, my mom and my sister, so you can't really just talk to women about male stuff, because
Right.
they can't relate. But he left, he left like a huge big piece out of my life from 16 to 25. So I didn't
Hmm.
see my dad until I was 25, and he came around, and it was just kind of like he was passing judgment on how I turned out,
Hmm.
and I got mad because it was just kind of like I needed you, and you just abandoned me. You pretty much fed me to the wolves, and what do you expect when you absent and you can't get mad? But I really just told him, like, I feel like I didn't become a statistic. When you came back, I'm working. I did go to college for a while. I graduated trade school. I've been taking care of my mother, who was your ex-wife. So technically, I turned out to be great because a lot of sons would have not even took on that role. And I believe that it was some codependency within, because I didn't want to abandon my family and
Hmm.
stuff like that, especially after my sister had her daughter, her oldest daughter, and stuff like that. And it was just crazy because I was there throughout, mostly through the pregnancy, and when she was born, and she was staying with us.
All
So
right.
it was just times like she would be on the bed, and I would just look at her, and then she would look at me, and she could just completely stare at me. And I just was just kind of like, man, I can't leave her alone, or I can't just abandon her or walk away out of her life. You know, I got to make sure that I'm a positive role model. I got to quickly get my shit together. I got to figure this out because these years become minutes,
Right.
especially these days. So I just didn't want to be that loser or alcoholic uncle, man, that most of us know. You know what I'm saying? We grew up with uncles that were in the pen or alcoholics or on
Right.
dope and game banging and stuff like that. So I had to do something, man. And so I really just underwent a total metamorphosis and just wanted to just start working and really just apply myself, man. And now when I, talk to her when I get a chance to, that she's almost 19 years old, and I just really look back at the evolution of
Mhm.
things, and I really realized just me growing up and almost 38 years old, and just really could see where he was at as well, and he really gave me just that new profound perspective of he was human and stuff like that, and he probably was going through a lot himself, and we was able to talk. Like early this year, he was back to his regular self because he did relapse on drugs and
Mhm.
stuff. So you just know, like, with anybody on drugs, there's no reasoning with them. You really can't, or you can't really rationalize things when people own that type of stuff because they head and their mind and body and soul is just focused on that drug. So it's just really important that like people who has parents who have substance issues and stuff like that, and just really realize like they're gone. Their
Mhm.
body may be here, but they mind gone. So all you can do is just pray. And it took a lot of separation for me to be able to, I finally had that sit down conversation with him as a man. And
Mhm.
I just had told him like, look, I forgive you for the past. I understand it. I get it. I never hated you, but I just always felt like when it came down to my development, like I missed out on what I could have been or what kind of person what I would have had like transformed to. But yeah, I had to figure it out and I did the best I could. And it's just kind of tough because
Right.
nowadays everyone expect Superman, Richie Rich, Mr. Fix It, um, all these other supernatural things and people. But they need to understand like we is learning. All of us is learning, no matter what. There's no age limit on learning.
Right.
And I had to learn to put all that behind me. But I just
Mhm.
had told them that, like, look, I love you, but you can't be a part of my future. You already damaged me with the past shit and the stuff that happened recently before we went on that huge hiatus. Like, I just, told them with the utmost respect, like, I wish you well, Pops, but this is my choice. This is my life. If you want me
Mhm.
to have a good life, if you want me to not repeat those same mistakes that you made, you got to let me go.
Mhm.
And I got to let you go. But I
Right.
love you. You know what I'm saying? And good luck with the rest of your days and this and that. And I know that it sounds harsh to the viewers and this and that, but peace is everything, man. and it's not that you don't forgive, but you don't forget. And I don't forget nothing. Like it's just certain things people don't come back from. You gotta let people know also it's consequences to their
Yeah.
choices. Because this is certain things that you don't do. And I just always just be wary of just every move gotta make sense now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You hit it. You hit it on the nose when you said two things. One was that he human,
Mm-hmm.
Um, us having that dynamic of son father, we look at them, we don't look at them as human, we look at them as, no, you my dad, you're supposed to do this and that. But not realizing, you know what, they got their own, they had their own life before us and during us. So it's like they got struggles just like we had, but maybe it was something that they couldn't give to us. And that was why that, what they had their mind focused on was more stronger than actually pouring into us, you know. And the second thing you said was peace. I've been saying lately, a piece of peace is better than no peace. So just a little peace, that's better than no peace. So if that separation, create some peace for you, then that's great. That's, you moving your life ahead. I had to do the same thing where, me and my father, we kind of had a little falling out not too long ago, maybe about a year or two ago, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I had to make a decision. Like, okay, do I want to keep going through this, or do I want to say, you know what? I gotta look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm an adult. I became who I was. I became who I am without this person. So I don't have to, you know, lower myself or, cower down because you have that title of being my dad. I don't have to do that. I'm an adult. You didn't help create this person that you're looking at. And that's something that you got to accept on your end. I've accepted it, so you got to accept it on your end. you know um so that's why having being a father and being in your kid's life is very important. It's just little stuff that you can teach them. Like you said, it's a lot of things in your adolescent years that you missed out on, or even as a toddler. Like one thing, I'm very introverted. So with my boys, one thing, me and then their mom as well, what we do is we make sure that they say hi to everybody. Whether it's somebody they don't know or somebody they do know, say hi, give fist bumps, high fives, or give hugs. So creating that building that muscle, the emotional muscle. I don't have to be shy. I can speak to people. I can have confidence. My kid, one of my sons, he walk in the room, he say hi to everybody. That's confidence I didn't have. I didn't have that till I was like 23. you know,
Right.
so, so that's an importance of having a father in your life, and or correcting them when they're doing something wrong. I tell my boys when they're whining or when they're crying, I say it's okay to show emotion, but but we have to think about our emotion. And they're 3; they don't understand all the words I'm saying, but I'm speaking
Mm-hmm.
into them now. When they do understand, it'll click. So when they're crying, I say, hey, is there a reason why we're crying? They'll say no. Okay, so why are we crying? Okay, you can show emotion. I can say you can show emotion, but you have to control your emotions. So I'm teaching them early how to control their emotions. What we see in the world today with a lot of black kids, in the streets, gang banging, losing their lives, quote unquote crashing out, is because they don't have emotional balance. They don't know how to control their emotions. There's no reason that somebody should die over a female because somebody inboxed your female, or because somebody cut you off in the streets, or somebody looked at you wrong. That shouldn't be happening, but it's the fact that nobody ever taught these young men, how to control their emotions or emotional balance. And that's just something simple as a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. Okay, why are you throwing a temper tantrum? You're throwing a temper tantrum because you want a toy, and I said no. Like, okay, that's not a reason to throw a temper tantrum. That's not a reason to show your emotions. I said no because it's time for bed. I said no because it's time to eat. It's time to brush your teeth. So you can't get what you want. You know, Going back to the people we see out here in the streets. They can't get what they want. They don't know how to handle their emotions. So what they do, they crash out. They shooting at people. They're on drugs. They're not behaving. They're not in school. Whatever the case may be, but most of that has to deal with no one was ever there to teach them how to control their emotions, teach discipline, teach critical thinking. Just simple stuff that like me and you, I know because we kind of got similar stories with not having a father. That's stuff that we had to learn through trial and error. You know, we
Hmm.
didn't look we learned a lot of stuff until like months later or years later something happened, and we're like, why did I do that, or how am I in this position? It's because we had to learn through trial and error because we didn't have that father figure to hone in on those skills and teach us that.
No doubt. And I can admit it took me to like, I say like 33 for me to really figure it out, to not allow anybody to trick me off the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, yeah, you get mad, but once you really realize the error of your decision, like there's only the morgue or a jail cell. And I'll tell everybody, like, I don't know why you would give up eating what you want to eat, showering when you want to shower, just using the bathroom whenever you need to go to the bathroom. Like, all that's over after you go to jail. Like,
Right.
why would you put yourself in that position? And number one, there's no women in that facility, but
Right.
only guards. But everybody doesn't get lucky to get that prison guard that got a crush on you and this and that. Like, because a lot of them women be masculine as hell, so you ain't gonna get no type of action. But what I'm trying to say, those are the things I think about
Mm-hmm.
before I snap on somebody, because I don't want anybody to be laughing at me and be like, yeah, I told you that dude was crazy. I told you he was so emotional and this and that. He's the problem and stuff. But it's just all mental games, man. If people play so many games nowadays that you have to always be 10 steps ahead and really have to see what can possibly happen or worst case scenario. So you won't let them win. And I've just been, you know, really just handling things a lot differently now, because I do want a future. I do want a better life and stuff like that. And discipline is key. And just knowing that you can't always respond, and no response is still a response. They don't
Mm-hmm.
gotta hear your rebuttal or hear um, explanation. Like, quit trying to vindicate yourself. Like,
Right.
who is there to prove out here? Like,
Right.
because people gonna believe what they want to believe. Because even if you the person that's being terrorized, they gonna listen to the terrorizer because they like that
Mm-hmm.
terrorizer. And I learned that, man. And it's just a crazy revelation when you figure it out that people never loved you in the beginning. It's like they will believe a stranger, and you could be knowing them for years, but this person could come up to them and easily manipulate them into going against you. And you should
Right.
really be shocked, like, damn, like, you really think I'm like that, or I'm that way, and you've been knowing me this long, and I've done this for you, I've been there for you, I supported you, and this is the thanks I get. But there's no harm, no foul, but it's just kind of like, dang, like, it really is like this. And just being just like in this new success, man, I just really learned a lot just with how uh, never say never. And I always expect the unexpected, man, because you really
Right.
will like be proved wrong
Mm.
a lot of times. Instead of proven right, you will be proven wrong. So
Yep.
I just like, just how you said, just how you teach your boys, you pretty much ask them a question and they respond. So it's always way of, getting some type of clarity
Mm-hmm.
without having to be overly aggressive. And I just think that just a lot of mothers, especially just in society now, that they have been programmed to be so strong to the point of they don't need no male presence in the
Mm-hmm.
household. And me being raised by my mom was drill sergeant, Grim Reaper, executioner. She was all types of roles because she couldn't
Right.
really be nurturing to me.
Right.
You know
You're
what I'm
right.
saying? And I really like kind of be a huge mishap because you get older, you begin to, search for that and the same equivalence to a female who end up liking older dudes because they need that love from a man, from
Mm.
a father figure type thing. But I went through that a whole lot. I won't say that I had mama issues and stuff like that because it was just more like, dang, mom, why you gotta be so tough? You know what I'm saying? Can you be soft sometimes? Like you wear lipstick, you wear heels, you wear wigs. You know what I'm saying? You're not a man, but you just coming at me like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it just now as when I become an adult, because a lot of mothers don't be careful, or they better be careful, because a lot of times like that son that grows up to be a man and this and that, that's not your man, that's your son.
Right.
And you expecting your son to take care of you, to put his life over yours and this and that, or it's just be crazy. Like it's a huge psychological effect that plagues both parties. And then a son will have to make a decision whether to go do his own thing or not. But it shouldn't be a choice. It shouldn't be like a stipulation of that. But I just think that, it just be a whole lot of just possessiveness when it comes to black sons, because we see and we grew up seeing our parents or our mothers or fathers struggle, and it's just a lot because they don't think we understand what they're going through in this time and era, but we do. Like we was there, so we just grew up and figured it out, but doesn't mean that we don't understand the struggle. But it shouldn't have to be a struggle if you just cooperate. Like just whoever has a baby father or a baby mama and this and that, like man, quit being petty. Go, let that dude be a father if you want to be a father. Like what's because you
Right.
hurt, because your feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because he moved on or she moved on. Like let them be involved. Like whatever you got going on has nothing to do with that child, man. Like, and I hate that,
Right.
bro. Like, that is just so
Yeah.
stupid to me.
It's like that's very selfish. It's like you taking the kid out of the equation where eventually this kid is going to pick up on that, and you ain't gonna do nothing but hurt the kid a lot. With a lot of situations where the mom and dad didn't work out, and dad moves on, and mom upset, so mom don't let the kids, let him see the kids, or he only get the kid on the weekend, or he got to pay so much money in child support, which I mean that's a whole nother topic itself. When you're dealing with
Hmm.
child support, that doesn't better this relationship with the kid, because you put on child support, and half of his checks are gone, so he got to work a second job just to survive. He can't get a better position to put his kid in. So it's like he has to make that decision. Do I work more to pay child support, or do I not work and just see my kid? So it's like that's a tough situation. They don't look at it. They don't see the long lasting effect, to eventually where some fathers, they decide, okay, I'm just not going to be around. Me personally, I don't understand that, but I never experienced that, so I can't. I guess I can't speak on that.
Hmm.
That'll be something for somebody who's actually going through that and explain, why they choose not to just be around their kid, due to child support, or the mother, giving them headaches and stuff. But it makes no sense. We can't move the next generation forward if we're still having the same issues from the past. And society has created that, especially within our culture. Our if you look at you look at the Caucasian, they are groomed and they're taught that, hey, you're going to get married, you're going to get married young, you're going to have kids, you guys are going to have a house together, and you're going to raise each other together. Not saying all Caucasians are like that, but the actual overall culture of them, that's what they are taught.
Hmm.
Versus us, we weren't necessarily taught like that, multiple kids, multiple homes or whatever. And one thing I don't like, and I don't like the narrative of what they call broken home. Um, I don't like that because if two parents are pouring into their children, is the home really broken? Because the home is initially, because people look at it like, okay, two parents in the house. You can have two parents in the house and they're not pouring into those kids. I know plenty
Yeah.
of people. I know plenty of people who were married and their kids ended up on the streets. Their kids ended up on drugs. Their kids ended up in prison. Their kids, are thieves, whatever the case may be. So just because they were, the parents was in a home, that doesn't mean that their home wasn't broken. The parents weren't pouring into the kids. If the kids, if the home is, the mom, dad, children. So if the mom and dad are pouring into the child or children, that's not a broken home, no matter if they're inside the home or not. As long as everything's on the same page, and everybody's, nobody's trying to overstep another person, and everybody's, following the same protocol, and you're pouring into the kids, then you're not in a broken home. You are in a stable home. That's just my opinion. But like I said, society creates it as, different. They think it is. They paint it as, oh, the dad isn't in the home, so the kids, they don't have, a father figure. They don't have leadership, which may not be the case. Like I said, there's a lot of, fathers that are very active in their kids' lives and they don't live with them. You know,
Hmm.
they teach them principles. They teach them, they're teaching them how to develop their character. So it's just all about pouring into those kids and pouring into the next generation. And I think that this generation now has it harder because they have a lot of access to a lot of different things. Like the world looks totally different from when we were kids, 20, 25 years ago.
Hmm.
Like it's so much access to everything. Everything looks different. It's just so much more that they can do, or they can try to be, and it's different. So it's like it's more harder, and it's very imperative that we do pour into the kids and pour into, whether it's your daughter, or it's your son, or whether it's your niece or your nephew, whatever the case may be. It's just really about impacting them and moving them forward, so they don't become a statistic. Me and you, we could have became a statistic. At any point in our lives, we could have. I'm pretty sure you had opportunities where you could have chose a different route. Same with me. You may have dabbled in different routes, but eventually, at your core, you knew that wasn't for you. But that goes back to being raised by that drill sergeant mom. That goes
Oh
back to
yeah,
that.
no
Know,
doubt, man. And,
it was
and,
like I
and
had, so I know.
yeah, and I have no problem admitting that I'm not like that or whatever. How these kids be putting it out there, and I was raised on the south side and this and that, and I see all my old neighbors and people that I went to school with and stuff like that. They all come up to me because they was just like, man, you always just was smarter than us and stuff like that, because they went to prison and they came back with a different perspective and this and that. But they just always say like, man, you was outside with us, man, fighting and this and that, but just so happened like you just decided to go to school and you decided to just stay in the house and stuff like that. But I just didn't want to just really like messed my life up because I just knew that I wanted more and I wanted
Mhm.
better. And I ain't been over across the bridge like that in a minute because pretty much just stay away from there, but I cherish it because it was a part of my life. But it's just at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Once you become a man, you put away childish things. And as of now, I'm just really just on that, trying to just build an empire and just really just try to like create opportunities for our
Right.
people. And just one day, I'm able to and will be able to do that just off the strength of, I've been where you are now and or where you ever trying to go. Like I'm willing to help you. And that's why like I don't judge anybody's current situation because the current situation isn't their final destination.
Mm-hmm.
And someone told me that and it just really just took a lot of just losing a whole bunch of times, bro, and losing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people for me to wake up and really realize, like, look, this is real life. And you have to understand, like, we all are going to die and how quick so many people are forgotten about. The number is staggering.
Absolutely.
And this is what you want your life to be. This is how you want to die, a street nigga that's only going to be praised or um, recognized for a few days and then they forget about you and the cycle continues.
Right.
I ain't trying to go
Man,
out like that. I
they
ain't trying to
forget
go
about
out like that.
you. Hey, they forget about you same day. I seen
Man.
some you get I seen so many times somebody, lose their life. I see an RP post, and then an hour later I see where the bottle's at. Like what? But
Like who put something on the grill or something like that.
man, you just said this your man's. You just said this is your ride or die. Like that don't even make sense, And it's like you said, we all that our final destination is ultimate. We won't be here anymore. That
Mhm.
is our final. That is our final destination. And it's just about what we do and be from now until that time happens. We don't know when that happens, when that's going to happen. All of us are on different timelines, so it's just all about making an impact. How we can the most. And that's just being who we are. Continue to develop our character and continue to develop the people that are under our arms characters. I've had situations where I battled suicide, adulation, and all that. And
Mhm.
first thought was like, ain't no way I can leave my kids like this. You know what I mean? Like who gonna be in their lives? So it was like just having that thought alone was like, okay, yeah, snap out of my darkness and figure out find some light so that I can continue to grow myself and being able to grow ultimately my kids. Because there's gonna become a day when they gonna need me, when they gonna go through the valley, they gonna go through a dark valley. It's gonna become a day they gonna cry on my shoulder, whether it's my sons or my daughter, or something's gonna happen and they gonna need me, and I need to prepare myself for that. And I also need to prepare them for that, because it's gonna be a day where I won't be there. Ultimately that's how we look at it. We're supposed to go before our kids. But you got to prepare them for that, and that's just being in their life and teaching them, being a strong father figure, and being that father that always come through and teaching them discipline, teaching them right from wrong. It ain't necessarily right from wrong of society point, but teaching them right from wrong to keep their life on an upward trajectory.
Right.
There will be roadblocks, there will be some pit stops, but if you're right and you teach and you stay in their lives, eventually they're going to use what you've been teaching them to figure it out. And ultimately, if I'm still around, they won't have to figure it out alone. And I think that's kind of what me and you went through, is figuring out things alone, and things we couldn't talk to our mom, about, or our aunts, or our cousins, just because we didn't feel comfortable. We didn't think, that they could help us. Like you said, it's not that I love single, I got a heart for single moms because I was raised by a single mom. But like you said, they don't have that time for nurturing. They can't really necessarily nurture us because they're trying to teach us how to be a man within ourselves because that father isn't around. So they're their drill sergeant, they're their executioner, they're doing that because they want us to be strong. They want us to be able to handle ourselves in the world, and so they forget that nurturing part. And we not to fault them. It's just that they do what they know. They're human, right?
Right. And at the end of the day, it's just survival mode isn't healthy. You know what I'm saying? Just gotta really understand just a lot of times we just see just the imagery is portrayed like in ads, magazines, TV shows, video games. Shoot, even in San Andreas, CJ and Sweet and their sister didn't have a father in the house and this and that. And this whole storyline was based on their mom getting killed. So if they would have had a dad in the house, you think that all of them would have just ended up different and this and that. So I think about stuff like that. I just think how we all need each other. You know what I'm saying? It takes a village, and you can't just like go in the house and mind your business whenever you see destruction or you see some type of chaotic situation. Like even at times, shit, I'd be scared to death. But if I see some young man like in public acting a fool or just being disrespectful, I'll be like, hey man, chill out, man. That ain't that deep. And they call me like, unk or shut up, old nigga, and this and that. I'm like, oh shit, I'm that dude now. I'm the,
Right.
old person now, but I get it now because
Mm.
someone did that to me, and it's just kind of like a full circle moment.
Yep.
But it's just you just always want to make sure that it's just all about passing the torch to
Right.
any and everybody. Like, and even I notice just with a lot of older dudes aren't afraid to do that because they just kind of feel like, well, I'm just want to just take what's mine and forget everybody else because no one taught me anything. I have to grind. I have to get it on my own. I had to get out the mud. But you've been helped like we all been helped. We all ain't get to our pinnacle by ourselves. Someone helped us get here. So we owe that to the person that helped us help somebody
Mm-hmm.
else with it. Because we all we got, man. Because our numbers, bro, like they literally always have been trying to just exterminate us. If it ain't
Right.
physically, it's mentally, it's psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, a whole bunch of shit. So we have to make sure we take care of each other because who else is going to do it?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's yeah, you hit that on the nose, man. Is taking care of each other, take care of each other, and just being there for one another. Because like you said, society they've always trying to take us out. Especially being blacks, and our culture is very heavily watched and heavily imitated, and they try to duplicate it. But they can't reciprocate it. For the simple fact, it's our culture, who we are as a person. Like, yeah, they've done a lot. Especially with the whole drugs and guns. Making sure that we're still playing that role of in society. But there's a lot of black professionals. There's a lot of people that are growing with character, and they're getting in different positions, and so it's changing. But we still got a long way to go. But it's changing. It's definitely changing. I don't think we'll be around to see the major change. We definitely won't be around. But when that change happens, that'll be a great day for black people as a whole. Um, but until then, we just got to do our part. Our parts will trickle down. You know, 100, 200 years from now, the stuff that we're doing, for our kids and our nieces and nephews, it'll show up in those generations. They won't know who we are, but we're planting those seeds for the future. We're putting that groundwork in, you know, simple stuff, of teaching, teaching your daughter, your nieces how a man should talk to you, or teaching your sons or your nephews how you should treat a woman, how not to be aggressive, how to be respectful. It's just simple stuff, not taking advantage of a woman, not taking advantage of a person, because women take advantage of men as well, you
Hmm.
know,
Oh yeah,
about,
cold with it too.
yeah,
Real dirty with that. Yeah.
that's, that's something that don't get talked about a lot. So
No.
just, you know,
Yeah, they got an ice box on it where that heart used to be, for real, bro. Like, oh, I've
right,
seen it. I had it happen to me so many times, man. But
yeah.
it's just at the end of the day, it's just all about just experiences. Like, because I don't know why everybody just be trying to act like they mistake free, but they made mistakes. How else they learned? But I just always just because I would say just as a man now, I don't see every woman as a queen. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a queen is how she carry herself already. Like I don't need to address something that you already are. And I hold you in a high regard because you know a difference in talking to a woman and you talking to the opposite. But it's just at the end of the day, I don't know why people just be trying to act like we're being derogatory towards them, but we just sharing our experiences. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would say I probably have a queen or two queens on my block right now, and the rest of the I would say demographic is the opposite of that. But doesn't mean I go around disrespecting them. I just
Right.
pretty much like accept it, because there's only so much I can do. But it's just they think we all talking about them like that. But I love to be around women. I work with two gorgeous black queens on this podcast and my platform and stuff like that because they finna help me transition to my other things. But I just don't really like the whole just cross examination when you express yourself or you talking about your experiences, and they always want to say, "Oh, what makes you say that?" or "Who you talking about?" or "Why you calling us this?" and "Why you this?" I'm like, look, I don't even know you, first of all, and two, I didn't know I was on trial for speaking about a situation that I have experienced and I have made it. And yes, it's kind of um some type of tone with it because of the fact that it traumatized me, but I'm alive, but I'm a little traumatic about the situation, but doesn't mean that I look at all women like that or the same. I don't, because I have been in rooms with women that respected me, not
Mm-hmm.
because what I had in my wallet, not because of what I drive or what kind of clothes I have or what kind of house I have. Like, just see me as a black man that's strong and I've been through hell and back, man. And I just don't understand that. Like, just we got to stop putting things like on particular pedestals and really understand. Like, you could be a nigga with money, but if you backdoor your best friend, you could backdoor your brother and this and that. Like that's how people be acting around here. It's real scary out here, but to each their own.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, you right about that, man. That's just stuff that we had to learn, Like it all goes back to, that father figure. That's stuff that we had to learn on our own. That being if someone was present there, they could have told us like, hey, this is how you handle this situation, or this is the type of women that you need to look out for. What this type of woman is going to show up in your life. So when she does, you should handle it. You should know, the difference. Like you said, there's a difference between a queen and somebody who's on the opposite side. So you should be able to
mhm,
automatically, you know, you should automatically be able to see that, versus me, me or anybody else, me not having a father, in my life, I probably, didn't recognize, what's the difference between, someone, that has standards and somebody who's moving forward versus somebody who's just there for fun. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's just all about teaching that. So I plan on teaching that to my kids, like, or my definitely my sons, like, hey, these type of women are, got to kind of watch out. They could be tricky, or these type of women, these are women that you can grow with. Just being able to be that helping hand, for the young black male, because society is different. Society is different. We can see anything in 3 seconds, just on our phone. We got access to anything from whatever the case may be. So it's like, you got to be able to put that into their mind so that when they don't go venture off, and being able to see, okay, let me see what I can find, that, because that's what happens when they start getting curious. The kids get curious, they want to start trying to find stuff, but
Hmm.
being that father there, you can be able to, hey, let me teach you what you're going through. It's something simple as puberty. You know, like, going through puberty, you don't, as a male, you don't know what's going on. You're like, wait a minute, I'm feeling a little different.
Yeah.
I'm breaking out, voice change. Well, my voice never changed, but breaking out, getting a little bit more emotional, because now you're emotionally attached to, especially, if you like females, as a young teenager. For me, I liked everybody. I'm like, shoot, I like her, I like her, I like her, you know,
Right.
so, like, being able to have somebody, I didn't have nobody to talk to about that. I can't come home and be like, hey, pops, man, I like this girl, I like this, I like that, but what should I do? Like, I didn't have that. So it's like, I'm just liking you, I'm just liking and so not being able to express that, not being able to, you know, be able to understand how to talk to her, how to be able to express this person I like, and then not being able to understand what rejection is, because you're gonna be rejected. Everybody's not gonna like you how you like them. So not being
Hmm.
able how to handle rejection, and instead of just shutting down, like I said, being able to handle those emotions. So that's I mean, it's important to be able to teach that to the next generation.
Of course. And what don't kill us makes us stronger anyway, because like the things that don't take us under will always, you know what I'm saying, make us wiser. And it's just at the end of the day, I just think that like, with us, going back to what you said about, you liking this girl, that girl, and even when you like this girl so much and this and that, like she will probably know that you like her, but still end up kissing your best friend or somebody that
Right.
you cool with, and you just over there like make sure you see it too, and then you just kind of look at it, you about to cry and shit, and you angry, because that happened to me, you know what I'm saying? But it's just kind of like taught me like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You like you got it, but I can handle a lot of things now because it's just, experience is our best teacher. So you just pretty much learn like just how, people isn't genuine and people ain't real, but it's just not your fault. You know what I'm saying? Because all you can control is you. You can't control
Right.
other people. You can only control how you respond to this stuff. So, and that's
Yep.
what I
Yep.
have done. And just when I'm able to, find my ideal wife and my future family and stuff like that. I just want to be able to just tell my kids like you was made off love. You were made off lust. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't lust at first sight with y'all. It was love. And I really worked and really turned my life around in order for you to have a healthy and a stable living environment, a father who cares, who loves you, who's there, and and it's an everyday process, man, and that's why I'm making sure that I'm become financially stable. But however it happens, it's all good. That's just my thing. That's my
Right.
expectations. But reality, however it happens, I'm gonna be the best dad that I could possibly be, husband too. So at
Yeah.
the end of the
Absolutely.
day.
Yeah, you got the characteristics and you definitely got the qualities to do both, man. So I definitely tip my hat to you on that, man. Like the work you've done in yourself just to be able to, create those standards for you and knowing what you want and what you're going to do. You get in that position. I mean, you're already, halfway, there. It's just about, once you decide that you want to settle down, have kids, it's gonna be simple for you. You're gonna cherish it. You're gonna appreciate it. Twice as much for simple fact. Your pops wasn't there, but also you're there now. You're able to experience those things that he missed out on. And that was the thing that was happening for me, and still happens to me to this day. I'm like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm uh, I'm being that father that I always wanted to be. It's like a dream come true. A lot of people dream about becoming a NBA star, or being best rapper alive, or whatever the case may be. But it's like I'm actually living the dream that I always wanted, which was be a dad, and it's not rosy, it's a hard time. Sometimes I look at my kids, I'm like, oh, y'all frustrating, but at the end of the day, I'm still doing what I always wanted to do. I'm raising kids, I'm pouring into them, I'm loving them, I'm nurturing them, and I'm being I'm soft with my kids. A lot of people are not soft with their kids, especially like men who didn't have their father. I notice a lot of them, they're not soft with their boys. I'm very soft with my boys. I try to teach them softness, because um, you need that. You don't have to be so hard as a man. You don't have to always be hard. That's how I walked around. I probably still walk around like that to this day. That's because, I didn't have that choice not to be. Like you said, mom didn't nurture us, and then also we didn't have dad. So we gotta go through this world being tough. We gotta go through this world being, hard all day, every day. So I'm teaching them, simple things. Like I remember one of my sons just the other day, he was crying, and my other son wiped his tears, and he was like, "Don't cry." He was like, "Don't cry." And that's just something that, me and their mom poured into them. Like, we always wipe their tears and tell them, "Don't cry. You don't have to cry." That's some softness, versus, us growing up, it'll be like, "Man, what you crying for?" Like, "Man, shut up and stop all that crying." Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no
Like,
empathy.
yeah, no, it's like, okay, well, now I can't cry. I'm hurt emotionally or physically, but I can't cry because they told me I can't cry. It's like, no. And then 20 years from now, that kid grows up and now he's in therapy because he couldn't cry. you
Hmm.
know, it's like, no,
Yeah,
you can cry. You can let out some emotion, man. Like, that's what we here for.
shoot, bro, it's crazy because it took me years to be able to just get it all out, man, and I was relieved, and I was just like, okay, well, crying didn't delete some of my years off this earth. I'm still the same age, but I don't know why it's just really be hitting different just from like certain people because certain people ain't angry. They just need a cry or they just too caught up into like what people would think and this and
Hmm.
that or the weakness of it. But I feel crying makes you strong because you're not
Right.
holding that in and you're not turning it whatever that's small into like a bigger gap and this and that. So it's just really important for just anybody who feel like they have nobody to turn to and this and that. I always give people just a space to
Hmm.
either, contact me off the phone or just come on the show and let's just vent and stuff like that. Like, let's just talk it out. Like, what's going on, stuff. But I just try to be just a resource, man, because I didn't have that during like my toughest period of my life. I lost two men that meant a lot to me from
Hmm.
just my childhood. And now it's just like I'm living without them and I still have my moments where like I need their advice. I need to know what's going on. I need to know what to do because I know how people think because I'm smart doesn't mean I don't need counsel as well. Like everyone needs counsel. And I just have my moments like, damn, dad, like why you have to leave me, or bro, why
Mhm.
you have to go away from it? It's just it'd be kind of tough and stuff like that. But I just try to just do my best. I just try to, gain some type of memory of when they did tell me something to apply that into like this situation, or it's just I do the best I can, and I tell everybody who I'm dating or just who I really like and stuff like that. Like, please don't expect perfect from me because I'm a
Mhm.
battered and bruised man, but I'm doing my best here.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying?
that's
Just take that to consideration.
right. That's huge that you say that from the get go, because most women they looking for that put together picture. They're looking for that Picasso picture, and it's like, no, like I'm the frame, I'm the paint, but I'm the paintbrush, but you got to help me out, So it's
Yeah,
like, a lot of us, and that goes back to social media and society. Like they plaster all this perfectness and what relationships supposed to look like, and what the man's supposed to look like, what he's supposed to be doing. And so it's like to a lot of women, that's what they feel like that's what they should walk into, not realizing that a lot of that was built upon. A lot of that was work behind the scenes. You can work with a man if y'all come to a common agreement and y'all want to be together. Hey man, help this man build him, and he gonna help you build you, and y'all gonna build each other together, and that's gonna create some magic within himself. So and that's a lot of us. A lot of us, especially when we have dad in the home, we're a work in progress. It's things that we still can't explain to ourselves that we do. I'll never forget one of my talks with my dad. He doesn't even stay in Michigan, he stays in Texas. I had
hmm
went down I had went down there and we had a talk, and he basically told me almost everything about my life, who I was as a person. And I was like stunned, because I'm like, how do you know this about me? And you wasn't in my life. And basically he was like, well, I'm you and you me, so I'm just telling you who I am. So if I know who I am, I know who you are. And then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So it's like there's still that connection, for you can tell me some of the triggers that I have. You can tell me why this upset me, why I have this emotion. Even though you weren't there, you can still tell me that. And but that's still me being a work in progress. That's me working, figuring out like, okay, I got work to do. I didn't know why, you know, I get upset when somebody, is not on time. I didn't know why I get upset when somebody doesn't tell me the whole truth. I didn't know why I get upset because um, whatever the case may be. But it's like, okay, that's something within myself that I got to work on, and that's eventually comes back to the core of you know not having that dad around.
yeah, and it is really funny because I just like my father, man. It just really sucks at times because as
Yeah,
much as I
yeah,
didn't want to like as much as I would just deny it, I can't run from it. But I just accept it, and then just going what you said with the social media stuff, man. There's no way that anybody should have a passport before a life insurance policy. Like I'd be like, baby, your priorities all messed up because you try to go out the country, but you can't bury one of y'all or bury you. Like, come on now, like this is
right.
crazy. But it's just like I'm learning just to not think everybody's my enemy, but
Mhm.
also I know that everybody's not my friend as well.
Right.
So it's just kind of like a balance with that. I don't just allow everybody in. Like the first day, you have to work for this. You have to work for just my trust, my love, and my support. You can't be no jump off expecting me to take you seriously because I won't. You have
Mhm.
to really display just if the feeling's mutual or not. Like if it's transactional, then okay, but don't come off as real and then later on come off transactional, because that's confusing. Like because we
Right.
could have um, avoided all that other stuff, but I don't know, bro. I just be trying to just what I'm saying, regardless of the L's I took, man. All it takes it's just that one W, man. It's all gonna work out. But also it's just about just the redemption part of it
Mm-hmm.
too. Just knowing that you didn't give up, you didn't um, give in to what was meant to destroy you. So,
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely.
but yeah, man. I ain't mean to keep you on here long, man. I know you busy man.
No, hey man, this was like I said, I appreciate you for having me. This was like a general conversation. It was like, two homeboys catching up, man.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. No doubt, man. And like I said, bro, if you ever want to come back, man, you more than welcome. I tell everybody this, man. To give us like
Definitely.
a good recap or update on things and stuff like that. But it's been a pleasure talking to you on here, man.
Yeah, it's the same here. Likewise, man. I appreciate it, and definitely was great conversation. Definitely was a lot that was needed to be said, and
Yeah,
it was a great show.
yeah, no doubt, man. I hold this deeply to my heart now. But yeah, bro, you take care of yourself, man. You be safe, man, and I'm gonna make sure that this gets to you so you can share it with people.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate it. You too, man. Take care.
All right, bro, you too. Peace.
All right.